All right, minutes are going around.
Yep.
If there's any issues with that, please let me know. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go right into it. We're going to try to operate under our new format that we started about 2 weeks ago. I want to say a month ago, but it's just 2 weeks since we've last been here. So right into the rec rundown, we'll jump back up into group discussion.
Mhm.
But men's basketball, tomorrow night's the last night. We haven't had any major injuries or concerns. The school has been great with communicating back and forth when we can be there, when we can't be there. And Matt Fulcino, while I do need to confirm it with him, he'll probably be the new lead or contact for men's hoops in the future.
Okay.
Want to give Jody a agenda? She can follow.
Absolutely.
Right on the bottom.
We can discuss this program a little bit more, either when we have our new board solidified and or when we have a fuller board in general. But this year, Rec will be hosting its first ever craft fair on Saturday, November 15th, unless there's any pushback. But all in all, I've been working with Barbara, our ceramics instructor, and spoke with a couple residents here in town. And over the course of the 7, 8+ years, however long it's been now, I've always heard rumblings of why don't we do a craft fair. So
Do it up the road.
Yep.
Might as well have it at the rec.
So our goal is by the end of next week, maybe the week after, but to have the program fully planned out and advertised and ready for signups, because honestly, craft fairs go over my head, but my wife is already signing up for a whole bunch in November and December. So apparently this is the time when you need to open these things up.
Yes.
So
What kind of crafts are we talking about?
I think it's going to be pending of the vendor. I think the original thought is that, and this is part of our plan for tomorrow, is to measure out space. So basically, you're paying. I'm making a number up, $20 a table. So if you want 2-3 tables, then the vendor will bring in what they need, pending what they're trying to sell.
Cool.
If it's my wife, well, there'll be a lot of knickknacks and
Yeah.
decorations and
Correct.
So
Yeah.
people selling things, not making. I mean, we're not gonna have kids there, we're not gonna do.
Nope.
No.
Nope. This will be a rec sponsored, craft fair. So because we're hosting it and it's in our community center, our insurance will cover it. So it's not like we'll need each vendor to supply a certificate of liability. It's just us opening up the
For them to
BRC,
come in. Yep.
and they will pay per table, and that's where we will make our money.
Mhm.
We have some other things. We have another resident who's very eager to volunteer for this and has already talked about doing some additional things like face painting and whatnot. So,
Excellent.
Churches have craft fairs and
Yeah.
there's like wood carvers that make
Yeah.
these beautiful things and they're unique. And some of the things the Baptist church had one last year, and I bought several things.
Yeah. Grace Ministries just had one. Was it right before the holidays? And they had all kinds of vendors, like the wood making, candles, so many different vendors. So it's great.
Got a bottle that lights inside it.
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
BRC.
Really cool. Yeah.
And it will be up and downstairs. So it's not,
Oh, that's perfect.
yeah, it's not going to be
Full
like one of
spaces.
those programs that we do where it's only upstairs. Like our vision is that this is a craft show that you can go up and down
Oh, yeah. That's
and
good.
look at other vendors.
Cool.
Jason, I'm going to turn the floor over for you for co-ed softball,
course.
because this has been your pet project the last couple of weeks here.
It sure has. So finally today, we've kind of locked in a lot of our stuff for the upcoming season. Unfortunately, this year we did lose Code Orange, one of our 8 teams, so we're down to 7 teams this season. We have 91 total registrations as of today, but I'm expecting that to jump up to closer to 105 once we have one of our final teams get all their players in, and a couple other free agents I know are going to be registering. The rules have been set. We're going to be using the same rules as last year. Shirts and balls have been ordered earlier this week, so those are all going to be coming in hopefully the next couple weeks here. Umps are assigned, the games that they need, and it should be a nice smooth season after this point, hopefully, knock on wood. This is 30 plus.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we do,
It's off the top of my head, I believe it's 5 weeks. Yeah.
6 games. 7 teams, they play.
6, you're right. 6 games each because of 7 teams. Yep.
Mhm.
So, and then there'll be we'll have a week for makeup games if we have rain days or whatever. And it'll go right into playoffs and then championships.
Mhm.
So it should be an 8-week total program. Yes, that's the plan.
Yep. In the future, and I think the winter time would be the best time to discuss this program. But if we had any thoughts or concerns on how we can vamp this up, I'm all open ears. I mean, this is a really good group, loyal group of guys that like to play. And it's guys and gals. It's co-ed.
Yep.
With that said, and I'll move on after this, but there does seem to be a disparity between half the league and when it comes to scores. You know, so I would, in the dream world, I would love it if we could have 6 to 8 teams in what I would call the A division, where it's competitive and they're trying to win the World Series kind of division, and then I call it the B division, where it's all the beer drinkers. You know,
Just
that
kind of there to just have a good time.
exactly.
Okay.
I don't think Code Orange did not leave for that reason. It's actually one of our original teams that's been here for over 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Just
Didn't have enough signups this year.
they didn't have enough signups, and you fast forward 20 years, certain parts of the body don't work the same way again.
Yep.
So, but we did not lose them because of them being unhappy with the program or anything like that. I would chalk it up to just
Probably just like
players
the
aging out.
physicality.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
We did have a couple of players sign up as free agents, so we assigned them to the new
Yeah.
home. So we keep the people who did want to come back in the league
So-
still.
Okay.
if you know of people that want to play, it's 30 plus. There'll probably be some wiggle room if there's someone's under 30 and they play like me, because that's not going to change the outcome of any games.
Yeah.
So if you want to add some teams or you want to see something different, spread the word. I like having at least 8. I think the dream world for me is something like 12 to 14.
Okay.
I'll go right into seniors here. So we had a luncheon today. It was a beautiful day out. We had the Southern New Hampshire ukulele group come on in.
Oh, that's cool.
This is my second time seeing Jody today, which is always a pleasure.
Different groups, they're a large group and you get different people each time. They had a call, this is the best I've heard, because they were really popping along.
Yep.
Good.
Played some exciting things. People came out of the group and started dancing.
Oh, that's great.
It
I love
wasn't-
that.
It wasn't old timey seniors.
Yep.
Yeah, no, not at all. Young at heart.
Well,
Yes.
we're going to be taking a bingo break from June through August. And today was our last luncheon until September. Scratch that. June 25th will be our last one until September. And that one will be at the Historical Society. And they are going to be providing cold sandwiches, and we'll help out with the rest of the sides, drinks, and fun things like that. And then our next senior subcommittee meeting is next Wednesday, June 4th. We had a casino trip last week. It went very well. One of our participants walked back or came back with, a pocket full of cash.
Sweet.
We only had about 4 participants, but this is something where it was something we scheduled. We want to move forward with these trips to show the town that, we are offering these. I will work with the senior subcommittee to see how we can increase participation, because again, I keep going to the, I guess, underlying, not problem, but just like the root. I know interest is there. Our call list has increased over the years. Our email list has increased over the years. But something between A and C is slipping through the cracks there. And why aren't we hitting home runs?
Sure.
So we're going to be working with the subcommittee there. I know we have talked about adjusting program schedule. I don't want to open up that can tonight. Tonight's just about updates.
Yeah.
I will go more in depth with that with my group next Wednesday, but I do have some thoughts and plans on how we can revamp some of our senior participation. T-ball, we have 2 weeks left. Medals have been ordered,
3
and
weeks after this.
3 weeks, sorry, yeah. So 3 weeks, including this weekend here. Medals have been ordered, and now that we have someone here, we're going to have a program survey sent out for the last 2 weeks of every long-term program that we have, so we can start using user feedback and revamping and the quality of our programs. Cricket just started a couple weeks ago. They're starting a little late, but they'll kind of bleed into July. But they have 16 total registrations on Fridays. Everything is going well. They're up on the upper field. The pitch is going great for them. And same thing, we'll send out a program survey for the last 2 weeks of that program. pickleball. The pickleball courts are officially opened. We have
Nice.
nets out there. I still think we need to throw some bucket of paddles and balls out for just for community usage. But we do have all the equipment and materials. I still do need to buy the wind guards, but we can open the courts without them. We'll get those by the end of the summer, the latest. And this upcoming Monday is the start of our adult program, and Jason and I have been working towards trying to develop a youth program. And then the baseball fence, I have spoke with Wayne from Highway. We don't have a date and time set, but probably sometime in July or August, the baseball fence that's going around the courts will be coming down.
Okay.
Quick couple questions on that. Let's see with the tennis.
No, so we couldn't do the tennis because of the spacing. I'm not going to mention names. I tried monitoring this project as closely as I could. The person that was really guiding the construction part of this, the things that were a little bit over my head, said that, yeah, a tennis court will fit on it, but that's like perfectly around the whole court itself. There was no
Sideline or baseline.
sideline or baseline consideration with that. So
Oh, yep.
we have the 3 courts that are out there, plus the 1 pickleball court that's on our basketball court. So we do have 4. And I think this conversation needs to be held when we have more people present. But I know you and I have had discussions in the past of what do we do with the basketball court space? Because the basketball court, if I remember correctly, is already big enough for a tennis court. So if the infrastructure is already there,
Yeah.
We can fulfill our promise in a different way.
Yep.
My follow-up question for the courts, will it remain an asphalt surface
For now,
or
yes.
more of a tennis surface?
For now, yes. I mean, we had a budget to work with. That's the direction that we decided to go with. At the time when we had a grant writer, what we were trying to work on was an acrylic surface. It's kind of easier on the feet there. If you've ever played tennis, it's the more ideal playing surface. For the short term, yes, it's going to remain that. But I would say there's no pun intended. There's no concrete plans into updating the surface at this direct point in time. Me personally, I'm just getting to the point where I just want to open the courts. They've been between the road and the tree clearing and everything as a whole. That space has been unusable for a little over a year now. I'm at the point like, let's just move forward. Let's open it up. Let's see what the demand is. If the demand meets that we need to upgrade the surface, then we can certainly do that. Unfortunately, with the cost of the acrylic surface and the other projects that we do need to complete, and we can dive more into that later, I just don't know where it racks and stacks in that list of priorities.
Yep.
Well, I think considering that we've had such a rainy spring and that application back for the rec to be rolling up more courts now is hitting a critical marker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember sort of thinking that this could have been like after July 4th kind of thing. So basically,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we got a couple volunteers that have a little bit of experience on putting on tournaments in the past. So the idea that we've always kept a low key program together because we only had the 1 court outside and then we had a small court at Swayze. So we didn't even advertise it because people would be sitting and watching rather than playing. This is in a way uncharted territory for us. So we're just trying to see what the initial demand is. We're going to keep it open to the public. The Monday and Wednesday program is 4-hour reservations for those individuals that choose to sign up for that. And just like any other program that we run here, I've told our volunteers, what you put into it is what we're going to get out of it. It's much easier to support a program or a facility if you can help garner additional tournaments, people signing up, adding classes, I mean, we pay instructors to run yoga and things like that. So I'm hoping that the volunteers can kind of take the ball and run with it. Exactly. I know we are spending some time trying to develop a youth program. Definitely more intro based. The issue we're running into is because we don't have anything to fall back on. We don't have previous years to say, oh, when we ran this was primarily a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. This is all new to us. We have the 3 courts. We have no idea if this is going to be tons of 6-year-olds and then there are like 4 12-year-olds out there and whatnot. So we're just trying to develop a program that's open to all. And then as we get the ball rolling, we'll then start having evidence that we can alter our programs as needed.
Yep. Yeah, and we have several in Brentwood, so to get that word out would be good.
We have someone here that could help us out with that.
Yeah.
We have 2 courts, and they just opened, and, at 3 ponds. And every time I go by there, people play. They play hard. I mean, I always say.
That's awesome.
Say that 3 ponds is a 55 and over community that doesn't act like 55.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of people in their 40s, late 40s, early 50s. And there's guys in their 80s who play a lot better than I could ever dream of.
I've
That's
got my
good.
butt kicked by you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pickleball, so.
Uh-huh.
Very, very active. You
That's
know,
good.
they have the pool there.
Yeah.
People walk and they bike and it's just.
Nice. I
Just
gotta
like you
walk
see-
through there because I have yet to go in that area, even to just drive through. I haven't
Come on
looked
back,
at
you'll be surprised how
Yeah.
much back
it. It does, yeah,
When
yeah.
people come to take me
Sort
home.
of keep in mind,
Get the word
when
out.
you get the point, so maybe there's tournaments, we're trying to fill up some more,
Absolutely.
You might get people.
that might not come to the field.
Yes.
Kids
If
are.
those courts
Yeah.
are busy at
They
3
see,
ponds
oh, wow,
and there's
pickleball
space over
courts
here,
Oh, there's a
people can
court
go
pickleball
over there to
court.
utilize.
Yep.
And when they utilize that,
With
question
other
is
folks.
instruction.
I'm with you 100%. In the dream world, you know, we have
Okay.
people using
Yeah.
the courts all day during the workday, and then as the evening comes, it'll turn into practices for the kids out there. Obviously, the courts, I'd love to them be used, but
Yeah.
outside of a couple of guys during the summer shooting hoops at the basketball court, it'd be nice to see all the facilities get used throughout all the day.
I
Yep.
just want to ask one question on that, at the risk of extending this conversation. So when they made the courts, you've got grass inside the fence.
Mhm.
So you've got a plan to get above it in there to cut the grass, or what's that all about? You probably should have had pavement to the fence, right? Or
We
some
can.
other surface.
We can. I don't know what the cost would be. I have to sit down with the building inspector and see what those next steps would be in order to do that. I think the idea is that they wanted to put the fence in because everything was getting put in the winter time and they didn't know how things were going to shift and expand and whatnot.
Oh,
And I mean, when I say some of this stuff is over my head, I don't know how to appropriately answer some of these questions. I really, really leaned on that department to nudge us in the right direction there.
Right.
I laid out the dimensions of what a court is and what the appropriate spacing needs to be between
Yeah.
each of it. And, you know, I would do weekly, daily check-ins on it. And, you know, you try to not micromanage, but you try to hover
Yeah, no.
over it as much as possible. And sometimes, you know, especially in this scenario, I'm kind of dealt with trying to pick up those types of pieces that you're bringing
You
up.
get a ready, fire, aim approach.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, wait a minute, and then we're having this conversation when it's too late.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
lesson learned.
I don't think that's out of the question, John. I think we can definitely go back and do that. I know when Jason and I were sitting down and looking at playing the puzzle game, how can we put the courts out on here? We had realized that even with the expansion of that we wouldn't be able to get the dream scenario on there. So we made the general consensus of like, why spend the extra money if it's not going to achieve our ultimate goal? And this was semi recently when we were building the adult program up. And we put down 3 courts. We could have technically fit a 4th court on there, but again, we want to see what that foot traffic is.
Yeah.
I was working with a grant writer to try to upgrade the surface, the playing surface there. So, does it look bad in the sense of after the fact? Yes, but it doesn't mean we can't go back and fix it.
The other thing, Andy, we've got rules for ours, and I don't remember what they are, but things like if somebody's waiting for a court,
Mhm.
you know, don't stay for more than
Yeah.
another half hour.
Yeah, you gotta rotate.
And some of those have been tried and true, and I could probably get those, and
Yeah.
then we could try something like that.
Absolutely.
I have seen signage on courts that say, hey, if
Yeah.
there's a way,
Yeah.
just
I've-
to try to
It's common
take any
courtesy,
sort
but
of
not everybody.
arguments
I've already-
and disputes out of it.
Yeah, we're still piecing things together. Like I said, we're at the point like let's just open it. People are asking. What's really stopping them from playing? We threw the gear out. I know we want to post rules around the fence,
Yeah.
code of conduct, things like that. So
We can look at those, the signage for that metal signs that can be tacked
Yeah.
on fencing,
Yeah.
like once.
Hey, if you put enough of them out there, that could be
yeah.
Most of it's common sense, but not
Yes.
everybody's sensible.
Summer camp.
Ooh,
I'm gonna let you take this one.
Oh boy, summer camp. It's going well. We're still receiving registrations. We're at 46 total now. 37 of those are full summer registrations.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I want to say my gut reaction is that's a higher ratio than where we were at last year
Yeah.
in terms of full summers to total registrations.
It is.
Meet the council night is
It is.
tomorrow night from 4 to 6 p.m. So my staff and I and Andy will all be at the rec center. Ice cream, games, sports. I think we usually set up our basketball net, set some cornhole boards out.
Nice.
We'll do a bunch of fun activities. It's a great chance for our families to meet our counselors and our new counselors in training this summer.
How many
So-
counselors, total, Jason?
So excluding Andy and I, we have 8 staff, 2 head counselors, 4 counselors, and then 2 substitutes. And then we have 3 CITs. They're not paid on staff; they're volunteering. We gave them a discount on their registration in exchange for their volunteering.
And if they want to come back next year because they're hitting that 8th grade year, that they would get an automatic interview if they want to.
Guaranteed interview.
Yeah, guaranteed interview.
As long as we have a spot open for them.
Yep.
Still. Yep. All our trips are locked in. Our locations are locked in. I have to confirm one final trip to make sure that we're all good to go. But for the most part, we're all set. We're locked in. We've had both our head counselors in this week, helping us out, doing some prepping, some planning, helping us out, getting the rec center ready for all our different stuff this summer. So
Spring
that's been a
cleaning.
big help, kind of as we're getting closer to the start of camp. I'm just looking here.
Training.
Sorry.
Training.
Yes, training is going to be the week of June 16th. So it's going to be we're hoping to try to get it in 3 days, so that way we can get our staff can have a nice long weekend before we go into the craziness of the summer. That will hopefully be a nice knock out the park. We usually have fun 3 days.
They do have CPR training the Saturday before as well.
The 14th,
Yep.
correct.
That reminds me, CPR.
Field day will be at Swayze next Wednesday and Thursday. I haven't heard a final head count for my staff, but we will be over at Swayze hanging out with them. Usually we do like capture the flag for the older kids and sharks and minnows for the younger kids. And then in the afternoon we bring out our water slide, and it's a fun time for the kids to slide down the water slide.
Cool.
Yeah, that's kind of summer camp in a nutshell.
For the July parade, we've locked in DNC Catering Barbecue. They'll be at Swayze at the end, along with Kona Ice. I've already ordered our bracelets and flags. I do need to order the trophy still, so I'm going to be taking care of that tomorrow. I already got cornhole bags, so the rec only has 2 sets, so
Val said she's gonna.
Yeah,
loan hers as
So
well.
if you know of anyone that might have an old crappy set that they're willing to donate for the day, please let them know. But the idea is we don't want the parade to be over and for people to think that they need to leave. We understand that probably a good number of people will start leaving, but this is a community event, and I think a lot of residents in town kind of rely on rec sometimes to
Yeah.
bring the community together. So I think this is
Not everybody does cookouts.
yeah, The route change, I believe, has been very successful. Every year, we've been able to add a little bit, something different to the parade. So I'm very, very excited to see how this year's going to unfold. From my point of view, really the only thing left we need is floats. I don't know if you want to speak into this at all, because I know you're a huge help for the parade.
Yeah, normally what we do, and I was gonna be talking to you about this anyway, is to really start getting, now is, the time for us to, we've got the final, what is it, 6 weeks?
Yep.
Where we, get it, I think it's better to get, the applications out to those and reach out to those folks who have been in past years. Hey, let's get your stuff in early. We want to make sure you got your form in.
Even if it's just a parent and a kid wanting to walk in the parade, like
Yeah.
we have
Get your
applications for
form,
that.
Application in, just get them in, and that way we have them early. And then obviously the bigger groups, like the horses and all that stuff, we want to make sure
That
that
reminds
they're
me of
all set to
horses.
get them in. And yeah, I'm looking forward to another year. Like, I can't wait for the barbecue there. Like, we love Kona. They're there every year. And now it's nice to add in barbecue, because there are families that don't necessarily go away for that weekend or go to, do barbecues at their houses
Yep.
or their families' houses. So it's nice for them to be able to hang around for a little bit longer and be able to have some food, mingle with some,
I'm gonna speak
neighbors or whatever.
to you. Reminding me of it. I'm gonna speak with the horse group there and
Yep.
see if they're willing to do rides at the end as well.
Yeah, yep. I remember they couldn't do it last year for some reason. I don't know if it was because they were doing something else, but that would
Yeah,
be great.
I know they've done it in the past.
They have,
Yeah.
yes, correct. But yeah, looking forward to the event again.
Perfect. I'm excited.
Yep.
For anyone that doesn't know, the new rec office, I've been calling it the annex, but the old town hall, down here, we're off in the corner. So if you're using the men's room there, we're right across from there.
Yeah.
So
In the old treasury office.
yeah, we got signs leading
It's so
you
much
down the
better,
maze to
though.
find us. Daphne did order signs for the actual town hall
No,
to point to all the
it's
different
so much better.
department,
The
so-
space is way better for you guys.
Revolving account, we are at $75,410.32, and I still need the most recent bill from the town. I won't know until I see it, but my gut feeling is telling me it's gonna be roughly $15,000 bill. So where the revolving account is sitting currently is a pretty healthy number.
Yeah.
With that said, if you wanted to compare us to other rec departments, especially of our demographics and size, the average in those towns, and I'll use Nottingham for example, is roughly 80,000.
Yeah.
So one of my goals is, as we have a growing list of projects to get done, is that we can kind of inflate our revolving account and hopefully start knocking out some of these projects.
Yeah.
And then a new bullet point that I added mid-meeting. Sorry. As of last Thursday, I'm officially a CPR instructor.
Great.
So I'm still working on getting all the equipment, but I'm hoping in the future, not just for town employees and our summer camp staff, but I'm hoping that 1 to 2 times a year I can help run a community CPR
Oh,
class.
I think that's
So
great.
figured to let everyone know about
I've
that.
always wanted to learn how to do that, so that's good.
Pick your song. Staying Alive or An Elma Bites the Dust.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly, yeah.
All right, to dive right into group discussion, we'll see how this goes, but I think for the most part, this might be similar to rec rundown. So, to dive right into it, our drainage project a week ago was approved by the select board, pending DRA review. I will be meeting with Andrea tomorrow on those next steps, and I'm supposed to be getting a contact from Glenn Greenwood as to who we can reach out over from the DRA. Basically, the point is it's the Department of Revenue greenlighting whether or not the funds we are using are eligible to be used for that project. So as a whole, the project was approved, but I will not have any more updates until June. So that's kind of where we're at there.
Mhm.
My goal is to have this scheduled, the work scheduled in July to August, so we can get it in
Mhm.
when foot traffic is low on the fields and right before the start of fall sports. And I would kind of like to keep it to that for now, but if there's any questions, please speak up.
Yep.
Our furnace, I have a site walk with David Fields on Tuesday, June 3rd, to look at the current system. And this is really kind of the first step of this process. And from there, David will be recommending what those next steps are and what type of equipment we should be looking at for an improved and new furnace. But I don't have any quotes or vendors that we have that's a little bit further down the road, but I'm hoping sometime over the summer we'll be voting on a new furnace system.
Awesome.
Will they give you a rate
Who, I mean, I think it will just depend on who gives us those quotes. I mean, again, I'm a very firm believer. Let others that know more than you or have skills in other areas, let them shine. And this is not my territory. This is David's territory.
Yeah.
He's gonna really guide us through this process. And what I would like to do is kind of info gather, going off what he's recommending. And then we're going out reaching 3 to 5 quotes from different vendors. And I'm bringing it here to everyone because everyone here has got a different set of skills and might be more knowledgeable than others, especially myself, into this. So we'll be making the decision collaboratively together before we present it to the select board.
Okay. Yep. That works for us.
Lower parking lot expansion. I did email everyone a copy a few hours before the meeting. I do have them here in my office, in my folder. If everyone wants to take a look, we don't need a vote on this tonight. I would prefer not to, especially not having everyone here. But we did get additional quotes. I'll pass them around. That's Wilder. We reached out to Wilder. Was it Wilder's Tree
Tree
Service?
service, yeah.
Seacoast, Tree Care. We got the initial quote from Bartlett, and then who didn't show up?
Balduck.
Balduck did not show up to the site walk. So that was our 4th quote we were hoping to get, but we have 3 to go off with now. I would like to, me personally, I think it would be wise if we tabled a vote on this until our June meeting.
Yeah, we need to
Yep.
have everybody here for this.
But I think Bartlett, I'm estimating for the phase 1, correct me if I have this wrong, Jason, that this was for the parking lot itself.
Correct.
And that was 15,600. Wilders gave us a quote of 5,800, and Seacoast was, I think it's this. 'Cause,
Oh, it is.
yeah,
Okay,
this
just
was
trees.
Yeah, this
Okay.
was everything.
That was everything, so
This,
this is
yeah,
just-
so
oh, okay.
7,200 from Seacoast Tree Care.
I think that just to confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna pass these around. I'll need them back. But I did
Make it
email
clear.
everyone a copy of this.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're comparing apples to oranges. One's a 15K and the other one's a 5,800, the other one's 7,200.
Except the 15K one is like a few different services. The tree
yeah.
themselves is 72.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
That's my point.
And in all fairness to Bartlett, because I was there for Seacoast site walk, and you were there for what, Bartlett and for Wilder?
I believe it was
Yeah.
Wilder.
I know when we did Bartlett, you had them look at a larger space.
Yes.
I had Seacoast condense that down a little bit. So
how much was
I don't know if
Bartlett?
those quotes are necessarily apples
56,
to
I believe.
apples. But
just for the trees?
For the trees at the parking lot, yeah. So
Trees.
they are higher than the others.
Okay. So, okay. And, all right. So just tree removal. Okay. So that's, well,
Seacoast told me that was for tree removal and pushing the brush back.
This one's accurate.
okay.
This one, I'm trying to remember. The 7,200, I believe this is actually for the 7,200 is for the field.
The perimeter.
We had them take a look at that. So I'm trying to remember just because they put the,
See, that stuck out to me because he told me he thought it'd be right around $6,000.
this one right here. I think it's a 3.2. All trees located between the boulder and the mound of sand.
Yep,
opposite
that's
the lower
definitely
baseball
it.
field. So they quoted us at $3,200 for that one.
For all
Yeah, I misread
Compared
that.
to those?
The 7,200
Yeah.
was for the perimeter of the field. That
Correct.
3,200 is just for the trees and brush by the parking lot.
Wouldn't that be?
Yes.
Yep, we're gonna do that, for sure.
Because of that.
Yeah.
other thing we just-
Uh-huh, yeah, yep.
I could try to help. What's up?
So I think that's good. Maybe getting that fourth,
Mhm.
person who didn't come, like, call them back to have them come in so we can have 4.
You want the 4?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay. Jason,
They should be 20 to 30 feet, I believe, as well.
Julie's recommending we still try to get a 4th quote.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this part I do think should be open for discussion. Me personally, I think we should look at someone else if they
1,000.
if they don't
for
want to
this
come
4.
to the sidewalk and want our money, then I think we should try to schedule, if we're adamant on getting a 4th quote, I think we should try scheduling it through a different vendor.
Yeah. If Bulldog cannot come out, where are they located?
I'm
You
not.
know.
They're local. I
They're
don't know how
okay.
local.
So maybe if they couldn't come out for a site walk, maybe
I know of
letting
one.
them know like our perimeters
Yeah.
and maybe going there and saying, hey, this is what we have. Here is the X amount, what we're looking for. We already have 3 quotes ranging from X to this, and then see what they can do, because this is a pretty
Yep.
significant project. 4 is way better than the 3. We want to be able to kind of go like this and see what's more bang.
I personally,
That's what I think we should.
I
You-
tried 'em. I used them at my house. I got both their scheduler and the owner.
Yeah, I have friends that have used them as well.
so why don't we try to reschedule the time and hope that they make it?
Yeah.
So
Who's
we,
the point of contact that I should, do you want to just contact me? Do you have-
Either one of us can. I mean, I was doing. I was.
This has
I
been
was
a pretty
making
50-50
contact
one
and all
here
this,
for
'cause it was
us.
on a Friday when I did this,
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean, either one of us can.
I know the owner of Burke's Tree Service, but I think their location will dictate a higher price.
Yeah. If
Yes.
they have to travel,
Yes.
it will be a higher price.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's why
I
I
know
mentioned
people
them
that
in the
use Bulldog.
past because,
Maybe it was just a fluke that they couldn't come out.
and it could be that. I mean, it's happened to me plenty of times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why don't we follow up with Bulldog tomorrow and see if we can schedule another quote or another site walk
Yeah.
to get that 4th quote, and then we can make that ultimate decision at the June meeting.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, like, how, as a department, we're looking to achieve this, this would be through our revolving account.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that after the rough $15,000 bill from the town, we're looking to kind of eat into the 60,000 that we're expecting to have at this specific point in time. I do expect our revolving account to grow a little bit more as we have payments for camp owed by the end of the week this week and things
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
But just keep that in mind that
Good.
this project will be completed through the revolving account.
Yep.
I lost my spot. All right. Lower parking lot, we talked about that. So new board spot / alternate. So far, we have 2 applications. Official ones, I do need to speak with Andrea tomorrow to see if there's been a 3rd one turned in. But to me personally, I've gotten 2 applications. Julie here and then Jody, who's joined us for the night. July, the deadline for people to submit their statement of interest is July 1st. And I'm making the general assumption that July 23rd, something like that. The end of July will be the first meeting of the new terms.
Correct.
25th.
25th,
It's the
yeah.
25th, yeah.
So this June meeting that we have coming up in 4 weeks will be our last meeting with this current board, if that makes sense. And then once we fill it, pending select board approval, everything will start back up in July and we'll hit the ground running from there.
Yeah.
I figure while we're here, if Jody would like to, you don't feel obligated to, but if you would like to speak to why you're interested, or if anyone has any questions for Jody here, I think this would be a good time to do that. But if you're not comfortable with that, that's fine too.
That's okay.
Yep.
I do know that June, July, and September, we won't be here for the meetings, so that, I'm okay today, and then August will be a lot of traveling around. But, I got involved with the seniors, and one thing that seniors involved. And from what I've heard, seniors don't like to be called seniors. And so we came up with this idea of calling them young at heart.
I love it.
And more adult. Today we have a ukulele group. They have several different groups. In this particular contingent, they were playing Elvis. They were dancing. They had a guy that was fantastic. And people were laughing. People were talking. The people that came loved it. Another part of that group came and they were playing You Are My Sunshine and Waltzing Matilda, and everybody was falling asleep. I think the majority of people that we call seniors really don't want to think of themselves as seniors, and they want to do fun things. Maybe they may be a little bit limited physically, but you should see those 70-year-olds playing pickleball. I mean, there's a demographic here of adults who have time on their hands. Maybe they're housewives whose children have all gone off to college, or and they have the time and they want to get together with other people in town and do fun things. The game night, we're just starting at Three Ponds of game night. Everybody's very excited about it. That's something I think what that we talked about. If that could get going, that would be fun. Some of my friends play bingo and they're not your normal seniors, but if they came maybe in the late afternoon or mid-afternoon, just play cards. They play something called hand and foot. I have no idea what it is, but it's some sort of card game. It's not bingo. It doesn't have the label of senior. And I'm trying to think of what else we can come up with. I think the trips are a great idea, especially like you went to Picnic Place. I didn't go because I lived in Hollis, so I've been there many times. But things to get the seniors out, or not seniors, but get the adults out who have the time. And I have found that I bring somebody once and then they come back and they make friends there.
Right.
I think that's great.
And then they start coming again, and then they start doing other things with those friends. And it just builds the community to have that type of friendship.
Sure.
This is where I think I might be able to be of some help, because I think Three Ponds is unique in the sense that we have that wide demographic. And some things work and some things don't. And the clubhouse committee, we have a beautiful clubhouse, we have a pool, and they're always trying different things. If people don't come, then we won't do that. We'll try something else. So we have cornhole, and nobody wants to play horseshoes. We got horseshoe pits. We're turning them into cornhole pits because nobody wants to play that.
I love horseshoes.
But like the pickleball is extremely popular. If we had tennis courts, we probably wouldn't have the same turnout. And they like to bike. They might even be interested at some point of having an excursion. Casual, maybe 10, 15-mile bike trip down one of the road trails. I think that it's just when I was talking to Andy about it, and we were I realized that there was the senior population, that age group. I think it's changed a lot.
It's a good point.
As a rec commission, if we say young at heart.
Love it. I love that. I love the young at heart. Jody, would you be looking for a full board member seat or the alternate seat?
At the moment alternate.
Okay.
I did, like I say, won't be here in June, July,
Yeah.
or September. I'll be here in August. When I'm here,
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy. I don't have anything. I'm active in my church, and I am in
Yeah.
charge of getting the food.
It sounds like you do a lot,
That's
which is great. No, I think that's great. I love I think, and I've kind of always thought this, I love the young at heart because there are a lot of demographics of seniors who they're active. They're so active. Like obviously, Three Ponds, there's a lot of different activities. And I think having that demographic mixed with young families, and so I think that would bring the community together even more, because sometimes if you think of quote unquote seniors, there are many that don't, they might not be around their family. They may not have, loved ones, and they're alone. So kind of having a community of events that they can do. Like I mean, if I had my grandmother here still, I mean, I would love for her to be involved in stuff like this because it keeps seniors younger.
It does.
And it really brings something out in them. And I feel like the seniors, you know, mixed with our younger community, we can learn stuff from you guys. You've been on the planet longer than, you know, some of us, so it's like, it's great.
Programs.
Yeah,
They have
I love it.
The school kids go in and sing to the people in
Yes,
the nursing
mhm.
home. Our church choir went and we did 5 or 6 Christmas carols.
Excellent.
And those seniors, you know, half of them were in wheelchairs, but their faces lit up.
Oh, yeah, I love
And
that.
we've got a lot of widows around in the community. And it's just serving other than
Yeah.
couples. They're all different demographics. Brentwood's kind of different. It's country, it's out in the middle of nowhere, and yet there's a lot here. And I think there's a lot of interest and a lot of talent.
Yeah.
People seem to be interested when we have a program. We're doing a CPR program coming up, and people are signing up for all kinds of
Good.
different things. We have speakers come in, and they're intelligent people. They don't
Yep.
want to be pushed into a corner and be thought of as this old lady in the rocking chair.
Yeah.
you know?
Yes, yes.
So-
I hear
They
you.
don't want to rock.
I love that you
they
threw-
might want to rock, but not in the chair. They
I
wanna
love that
have
you
fun.
put your hat in the ring, so I appreciate that.
That's
for
great.
Coming up, yeah, I think
So
that's
not
great.
to upsell Jody anymore, but I'm surprised you didn't brag about how you were a parade float winner last year, and
Right.
that is a participant at our fall paddle, is one of
Yeah,
our
love
3
it.
members of the senior subcommittee. Jody here, at least for I don't want to speak for Jason, but I know in the last year has been a huge help to the rec department and to myself personally. And no matter what happens, I'm just very happy that you threw your hat in the ring.
Great.
We've been
Did-
here 2 years about.
Yeah.
We moved in July, and I
Awesome.
immediately tried to see what was going on. I saw that fall paddle. I really knew nothing about it, and I said, "Cool." I said,
It's not whitewater.
Yeah.
I didn't want white water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the second year I did it, I asked Andy. I said, "What about dogs?" I've never had that question.
Yeah, some dogs go out on the
Can I bring my
kayaks.
dog?
Yeah,
So
you
I
can
brought
bring
my
'em.
dog. He sat right there in the kayak with me.
Oh, that's so
and,
great.
You know, and then he went in the parade.
Yeah, he won in the parade.
He went in the parade. He won. He was one of the patriotic pups.
Yes, I remember.
I just like to get involved, and
that's
I think
great.
that other people like me.
Yeah.
Who, because people say you're involved in everything. You have to put forth some effort. You only get out of it what you put in.
Correct.
I feel like I've said that
Excellent.
before. Did anyone have any questions for Jody? Okay, so Jody, this is kind of the next steps as to this process here. So we do have another June meeting coming up. Love for you to. I know you said you couldn't, but if for some reason, if something pops up, love to see you there still.
In Canada.
Gotcha. For anyone that's interested, they will have until July 1st to submit their statement of interest. I'm making the general assumption at our June meeting, we'll probably have a non-public portion of our meeting to discuss the candidates and whatnot. So I appreciate you throwing your hat in the ring, filling out a statement of interest, but just please keep in mind that we probably won't have a form of an answer to you until a little bit later in July. Perfect.
Like I say, we just all of a sudden started to
Do some
decide we were
traveling.
gonna visit.
Yep.
That's
We're
good.
having so much fun with the dog, visiting people, taking him with us.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Love it.
He's a really good dog.
Does anyone have any new business or anything that they wanted to bring up at tonight's meeting?
I have one thing.
Shoot.
About a week ago, I had the opportunity to volunteer at the Exeter Rec
Mm-hmm.
at one of their cleanup programs over at the Healy Pool.
Yep.
And I was very impressed, kind of blown away by how they do it. So they go through United Way for volunteers. They don't pulse the teams. They go through United Way. They had about 30 people show up. 2 big corporations, I won't name them, but that's where the bulk of the people came from. But they provided all the tools. They brought lunch. They had drinks there. They did a great job of hosting it. So I was.
And that was like a
pretty
cleanup
impressed.
project? Is that what they, United Way specifically
Yeah, yeah,
focuses
but,
on?
two things for our consideration. They're crushing it on grants, absolutely crushing it. So they're brand new playground, completely paid for by grants. They've got these special chair. I don't know the.
Oh, Exeter Rec?
Yeah.
Yeah. We did have a grant writer. They're no longer here
Yeah,
in
right.
town.
Right.
I know I mean, I can't speak for the town, but as an employee of the town, I've had conversations of hopes of trying to fill that because before that person had stepped down, as I mentioned earlier in
Right.
our meeting tonight, we were developing a grant or a plan to try to put the acrylic surface on
There's a
the,
lot we
on
can
the
do.
pickleball courts. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
At one of my conferences a few years ago, there was a seminar strictly based off of grants. And I can't remember what town it is in Massachusetts, but they basically fund half of their staff
Yeah.
through
Amesbury
grants.
does.
Yeah,
Easily.
and I think that's what it was,
Yeah.
Amesbury.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you want to take an action item for John Morgan and just ask him the status of the grant writer? Or
I can ask him.
just out of curiosity, is it going to be reinstated? Because I can think of half a dozen things just off the top of my head, and that's just me.
Right.
I know eventually at UNH I'm gonna have a grant writing class. It may not be this year, but I tend to try to put some effort
Yeah.
once I learn some stuff.
Yeah,
into this
absolutely.
department.
Yeah.
I'll speak with him tomorrow and I'll get back to you
Okay.
on that.
Great.
But I think
Thank you.
whatever we can do, I'm in total agreement.
Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of recs that do
No.
do. I'm glad you brought that up because there are, and I mean, they can be very helpful.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I'll look into United Way as well. So if you have any source materials that you may have, John, love if you could share it. But I'm sure that we might have some type of construction project that we could use some help with.
Mhm.
I know we've been talking about doing the whole snack shack, so maybe that could be a good way of
Do we
getting some
have,
help.
the proper equipment, the proper tools, the proper guidance? Because I've been on more of these than I care to admit, all over the place, and you get the entire spectrum of skill sets, and that's okay. But some people know exactly what to do. Some people can teach others.
Mhm.
Some people
Can
they
hammer a
need a
nail.
little more oversight. Some people, okay, you just have to tailor their jobs accordingly. But
Yeah.
there's definitely some potential there.
Well, thank you for bringing up both of
Yeah.
the comments and requests there. Is there any other new business or items that people would like to bring up or discuss? Going once, going twice. Now, before we close this, I have our next rec meeting being Wednesday, June 25th. Please let me know in advance if you cannot be at that meeting. Sooner rather than later, because perfect. If we need to reschedule, we don't have a large window between that and July 1st. And I do think it would be important for as many of the members as possible to sit down and go through the statements of interest and the candidates.
Right.
At this point moving forward, that's got to take precedent because, we had a great strategic planning session 2 weeks ago. We've been talking about a lot of great items that we need to get accomplished here. And my opinion is we can't really accomplish that until we can fill these seats here.
Correct.
So if you can make it, let me know. If you can't, let me know as soon as possible. So if we need to reschedule, we can reschedule. Do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
I don't know. It says we're still recording. Oh. You can say whatever you want.